On today's episode of The Unwritten Rule, we have some breakdown of the Jayden Stone commitment, the latest edition for Mizzou men's basketball. Payton and I just kind of discussed, got to watch a little bit of his tape, just talked about the latest edition for Mizzou men's basketball. Stone coming over from West Virginia by way of Detroit Mercy as well as Grand Canyon. Interesting ad for Mizzou over on the kind of wing guard role as they look to fill the remaining 2 scholarship spots. They have 1 left now for men's basketball. So discussed that. Also talked some football, other transfer portal news on the football front with Kenny at the top of the show. So had a discussion about that as well, and then wrapped up with quick hits. So a good show, obviously headlined by an interesting ad there at the guard position for Mizzou men's basketball and Jayden Stone. So had a good conversation. Great show as per usual. We'll get right into it. The Unwritten Rule starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You were not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule. Today is Monday, May 5th. First off, we're recording this on Sunday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you, Payton and Kenny. I know you two are our resident Star Wars savants. There you go. Kenny's got some Star Wars Legos. For those watching on the YouTube, have to shout out May the 4th. Maybe I'll watch some Star Wars today. Anywho, happy May 5th, happy May 4th, May 5th when you're listening to this. We're back, and Mizzou is back landing some commits in the football realm. Have a couple of news items to talk about to start the new week. The first of which, a guy we mentioned on this show before, has made the move, another transfer portal commit on the defensive side of the ball for Mizzou football. The Tigers landing Bralen Henderson from Ohio. Henderson last season appeared in 18 games, 2 starts, 26 tackles, 14 and 2 for loss. Appeared in 18 games over 3 seasons before that for Ohio. Kenny, I'll throw it to you first. You, of course, had this commitment news for Bralen Henderson. What do you think of the ad here for Mizzou football? I know, again, we the theme we keep hitting for new transfers is maybe not the flashiest thing in the world, but in this spring window, but nonetheless, perhaps some depth here at DT for Mizzou. What do you think of the ad for Bralen Henderson?
Yeah, before Payton does his stuff, I'm still trying to find the text chain between me and him when I was saying that I think this guy would be someone.
Oh my God, that's
to
right. Yeah,
because it's been hard to find it because it was a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, this one kind of the writing was on the wall that it was going to happen. He visited earlier in the week, but he, still fielded some more interest from Miami and Ole Miss, and when you see other SEC schools and big time ACC schools going after a guy, you still feel in a good spot. Even like he's coming from Ohio, last year of eligibility. He's rated a 2-star. Transfer rankings are just so hard because there's so many players. The high school ranks, they're only ranking, the top 250 and then, additional 4 stars, 3 stars, just at different positions. So it doesn't really get to this number. But so some of the grades are similar to some of the other options. And, I don't think, and I saw some people like on our board saying, like, oh, watch his tape, like he's going to be a monster kind of thing. It's like, yeah, it's MAC competition. He's going up a level. At the same time, don't expect the world from him. I think that's one of those things with a lot of these depth moves and competition moves you're getting in the spring transfer window. These aren't your Josiah Trotters. I mean, these aren't your Kevin Colemans. These aren't the guys that maybe you're expecting a lot from next season, but it's just like an advantage, if he does come in and can replicate what he did at Ohio and bring it to Mizzou. And this fills, kind of a competition aspect, maybe not to the extent that some people were wanting like an experienced defensive tackle, like adding a Chris McClellan, like it did last transfer window. But this is still a big one, for the Tigers, kind of bringing in more opportunities at the defensive tackle position. And one big thing Al Davis talked about is like the players will tell you if they need to address the transfer portal. And I think he was very content with what him and Coach Blackwell had at the defensive tackle position in the spring. And Bralen just kind of comes in and takes one of the final 3 scholarships, and now there's 2 left on the 85 threshold.
Big addition for Mizzou, as you said, not very big In terms of size for a D tackle, though, 6'2", 280. I know a lot of people are going to be maybe sketched out by that size, but let me point you in the direction of one of the most productive D tackles in the NFL right now, Kalijah Cansey. He was a first-round pick just a couple years ago. He is 6 foot flat and 280 on the dot, according to ESPN. So I wouldn't be too worried about the size. If you can play, you can play. He's probably more of that Sterling Webb type where I kind of would expect him to just kind of rotate in. Maybe he can rush the passer a bit. We really don't know. I won't lie. I haven't watched the Bralen Henderson tape. PFF says he's a pretty decent pass rusher, so we'll see if that translates. If nothing else, it's at least decent depth. You get a guy who was a pretty decent piece for a good number of years. Yes, it was at the MAC, but you rather have those types of players in your back pocket than someone completely unproven, I suppose. Drinkwitz always says production over potential. So this kind of fits with that. Also, Kenny mentioned some of the other schools that were in on him. You got to kind of feel good if teams like Miami or an Ole Miss are kind of courting a guy and you're able to get him. So,
yeah, this seems like. Go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, Payton predicted it. If it doesn't happen, you can come after him. But Bralen Henderson will be a first-round pick next year. So I sent this tweet from.
Bookmark this. Everyone save the link. If he's not a first-round pick, we all get to throw eggs at Payton.
So it's May 4th when we're recording this. I sent this tweet from Pete Nakos on April 15th into our group chat with the three of us. I don't know of any connection, but he looks like a lean size to fit as a D2 or DT2 or a backup for Al Davis's group. Okay, he looks a little bigger in other photos. They already have Webb, who's pretty small. I don't know if they'd want to double dip, but if he's bigger in other photos, then that could be something, says Payton. I said he looks more like the Baylor transfer, forgetting his name. You reminded me. Josh Landry. Then Jack replied with his PFF grades, and then that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah, there you go. I feel like you can never have too much depth at a position like that either. And Payton makes a good point. Like you kind of, I feel like coaches are going toward more of these kind of small, bendier pass rushers, especially where you can be a little bit more versatile with them. Maybe you interchange them with like a bigger edge rusher, a guy who can kick maybe outside. Like you hear about edge rushers all the time who can kick inside and do the opposite. So I don't mind it if it's some versatility. And yeah, I mean, production is production. I don't really care where it comes from. If you can prove it over multiple seasons, you can at least make the jump up as a depth piece. So I really like this ad for Mizzou. I think it's good. And Kenny, you said 2 scholarship spots left on the 85 man. Obviously, that could all change at the drop of a hat, but yes, sort of winding down.
Yeah, some other positions we talked about, like cornerback, a guy that threw out there was like Colton Hood, who Mizzou was kind of linked to, Colorado guy. He ended up at Tennessee. What I read was like Miami and Tennessee were some of those big schools after him. So he's going to be in the SEC. So maybe, still looking, shopping the cornerback market, seeing if there's a guy with multiple years of eligibility that's, kind of okay sitting behind some guys in that room that are just going to take all the snaps, like Toriano Pride, Stephen Hall coming in, Nicholas Deloach, Drayden Norwood as well. There's a lot of experience at the top there. So maybe they still try to address that. Offensive tackle side, Jalen Caldwell was supposed to visit Grand Valley State transfer, Division II. That visit's not going to happen anymore. Mizzou's just kind of moved on from him. So if they're still looking for, tackle market, I think it would be a competition aspect, seeing if they can get someone from those ranks, someone that, performed well at their previous school and come in and battle with, Richardson and Johnny Williams, just, trying to get snaps at the left tackle spot. Cause like Drinkwitz said, they still don't really have their best 5 set in stone.
So some possible depth pieces for OL and corner still to maybe watch for. But like I said, I like this ad of Henderson at the defensive tackle spot. So there's the latest on football. We have a basketball note too, but I want to touch quick on a comment we got on the last video. I'm reforcing GM talk back into every show until maybe this is like, it's going to be like day 7 of discussing Mizzou's GM until Dennis Gates actually makes the hire. But we had another comment on the video we did. We went kind of deep in the GM discussion for Mizzou men's basketball in our last show. So go check that out if you haven't. But we got a comment. What is it? Senior Josh Joshua DM 1231, I think I'm saying that right, commented, and thank you for commenting. He said, I wonder if Jared Sutton, who is an NBA scout, would be a good fit for the GM role. I think that's interesting. Again, it's to me, there's some guys like him and Pressey who intrigue me coming from the NBA. I think when you add NBA staffers to a college staff, I think it can work really well. The problem with the GM, I think it's just maybe a little too different of a role. I think the scouting department, I just wonder how much of what you do there really aligns with what Mizzou is looking for from a GM. I mean, he probably has the connections to agents that I know we talked about. Surely you probably do as a scout. I would think that would be how you do your job. But I just wonder again, my big thing when I think about this position is dealing with literally dealing with balancing the books and balancing a budget. And I'm just not sure how much a regular kind of coaching staffer or scout can do that, or how much experience someone has doing that. I really think, knowing what I know about the GM position, I feel like that is what Dennis Gates is going to go for. Is someone who has kind of somewhat of a financial background. And maybe Sutton has that or has dealt with that a little bit in his role. I do think it's interesting. But again, that's another one where, like, if he wants to make maybe an assistant hire, I could see a Sutton, but I don't know. I don't know about it for GM, but if he does go with a guy like Sutton, there's things to make sense of there in terms of, I'm sure he does have those NBA connections. He knows people in the business that are probably important to know. So we'll see. And again, like, it would be interesting. I hope Dennis is in contact with Jared Sutton, because it's someone who's in the alumni network who would be interesting. I don't know if you two have any thoughts there, but that's my quick ones.
Jarrett follows me on Twitter. So that'd be kind of funny. That he just would have Payton is no troll screaming about T.O. Barrett's jumper against Drake in his feed as he's trying to help cultivate the next crop of Mizzou basketball athletes.
There you go. He does not follow me on Twitter. I've talked to Jared Sutton before, so it's a little bit.
Yeah, I've never talked to him. He just likes my content.
He's just a fan of Payton content.
Payton, are you pink? Did you get a little sun this weekend?
I got a lot of sun.
Sorry, I was like, you were talking. I could not. You look good.
Oh yeah, he does actually look a little bit sun.
It doesn't feel good. It hurts a lot. My neck is in pain. My arms are in pain.
What were you doing that neglected sunscreen?
I went to a PGA Tour event. I went to the CJ Cup, the Byron Nelson Classic, as I think most people know it. And I watched a bunch of round 2 and 3 there.
That's fun.
And now I'm horribly sunburnt. I saw Jordan Spieth tee off. There was no Danny Willett in sight, so it was a pretty good tee. I saw Scotty Scheffler putting. That was pretty cool.
He's in the lead right now.
There, I'm trying to think of anyone else you two might know. Webb Simpson was there. You guys might know Webb Simpson.
Was Nick Dunlap there?
No, Nick Dunlap was not there. It was mostly guys I don't think you guys would know.
Fair. That's fun. Well, I'm sorry about your sunburn. That's never, you gotta remember to
it's okay. I'm in agony. So let's wrap this up.
Agonizing pain. Payton wants to get out of here. Okay, we're interjecting here. We recorded most of the show earlier in the day on Sunday, but Payton and I are cutting in. Kenny is out for this portion because he was working, doing especially some reporting on the article you see in front of you if you're watching on the YouTube. And if not, I'll read you the headline. We're coming in, obviously, with some commitment news from Mizzou men's basketball. They land West Virginia transfer guard Jayden Stone. Interesting pickup here. We talked earlier on Sunday, which you won't hear, with Kenny about him, about Jayden Stone and the potential that Mizzou could have landed him. We weren't sure when the commitment will be, but it has dropped as of Sunday evening here, close to 9 p.m. Central. And Jayden Stone is a member of the Mizzou Tigers for next season. Payton, interesting ad here. Kenny, when we were talking with him, kind of mentioned that he was a player sort of in the last 48 hours that had started to become linked to Mizzou. And this was, we obviously know at the speed of which a lot of these transfer ads can happen. And so he makes things official, coming from West Virginia. Like I mentioned, a really interesting player, did not actually play for West Virginia. He redshirted, got a medical redshirt after an upper body injury that he suffered right before the start of their season. So originally last played in the 2023-24 season, averaged 20.8 points, just over 5.5 rebounds, and just over 2.5 assists, shooting splits around 42% from the field, 31% from a three, and just under 80% from the line for Detroit Mercy, where he was for 2 seasons, but started his career at Grand Canyon, where he played, of course, for Bryce Drew. Native of Perth, Australia, and obviously has not played in over a year, which is, can certainly cause some alarm. Potentially it was an injury thing, obviously, that kept him out. That's why he got the red shirt, and he's able to get this 5th season that he is now spending at Mizzou, Payton. So a really, really interesting ad here. What do you make of it here with Jayden Stone coming to Mizzou? 6'4", kind of wing, 2 guard. Obviously, we have been clamoring for Mizzou to get some shooting. I know he had a really good shooting season in his first year with Detroit Mercy, was in limited game time, has been really limited his entire career apart from that last year at Detroit Mercy. But what do you make of the ad here, Jayden Stone coming to Mizzou?
Yeah, I mean, injury is the big question here. Obviously, there's some talent here. I mean, like you said, just a few years ago, it was limited games, only 12 games, but I mean, the shooting numbers are out of this world. I mean, he was 54% from deep, 44% from 2-pointers, which isn't as good, obviously, but certainly not terrible. Pretty good from the line his entire career. So that's always a positive to see, especially with how much Mizzou got to the free throw line last year. His free throw rate hasn't been fantastic. Again, his main bulk of his sample is going to be the 26 games he played for the notably 1-31 Detroit Mercy team. He played in 26 games that year. His efficiency went down, but his usage went up because he kind of just had to be the man on that team. Obviously, his usage is not going to be near what it was in that year at Detroit Mercy. So this is someone that is coming in. Maybe you see that usage dip. You see his efficiency go back up, because I mean, if you get this guy, he's not like the perfect size for like a prototypical wing. I think that Mizzou is looking for 6'4", 185. I think he can play the wing probably if need be, but at this point, you really kind of can't. At this point in the portal, you can't really be a chooser, I would say. But certainly capable of doing it. Certainly, I think they probably imagine he can be a guy that would maybe be reliable from 3-point land. I know you watched some of his tape and said he had a really nice looking jumper. So maybe they're hoping it translates. We've seen guys come to Mizzou and have shooting bumps. And I think that only gets easier when you are coming into a situation where you're not going to have a 30.5 usage rate, which is just absurd. Hopefully they can get back up to those. I mean, 60.3 effective field goal percentage in that first year at Detroit, 63.5% true shooting percentage. Those are really, really stellar numbers. But again, there is a lot of risk here. I mean, he obviously, it sounds like it was a pretty scary injury at West Virginia. It kept him out the whole year. You're taking a bit of a gamble. He's never really played more than 26 games in his entire career in a season, and that wasn't even all the games. Obviously, I wasn't watching much of the 1-31 Detroit Mercy basketball team.
They almost beat Ole Miss.
Yeah, but he missed 6 of those games, so certainly interesting. There's obviously talent here. I mean, Darian DeVries is a very, very well-regarded coach, and Jayden Stone was a guy he brought in his 1 year at West Virginia, so he clearly saw something, and I'm sure Dennis is willing. Honestly, I'm fine with them taking this kind of a risk with that 14th scholarship spot. You have 1 spot open now. I honestly don't even know if you use it, where you would use it. So maybe you can take kind of a risk that Jayden Stone is able to get healthy and able to contribute. It really kind of seems low risk, high reward to me.
What did you say his true shooting percentage was again?
In 2023, his true shooting percentage was 63.5.
That's just I was curious about that and comparing it. Caleb Grills last year was 65.6, and obviously we saw how good he could be. So just as like obviously different leagues, different situations, less game time, there's certainly caveats there, but just as kind of to articulate how good of a number that is. Yeah, Peyton, I think you make a lot of good points, and there certainly is a risk there. I think you have a guy who hadn't played in over a year. You're asking him to come to the SEC. That was the toughest league in the country last year. I do think it is worth noting, like you said, with Darian DeVries at West Virginia, he doesn't bring guys in for no reason. He certainly, knows talent when he sees it. That's why he got that job after, of course, being the last or before Ben McCollum being the Drake guy, and coming over and doing the things he did there. But yeah, I think you're right. I did watch his tape. It mostly showcased kind of his offensive skill set. I do think the jumper is there mechanics wise. I mean, it's very smooth. It's very quick. A lot of the tape I watched, he did a lot of off ball catch and shoot stuff, did a lot of dribble pull up stuff, can shot create for himself a little bit. Again, you have to sort of scale it back, I think, because of that usage that Payton talked about. He was literally doing everything. He was attacking off the dribble. He very much looked like that kind of primary ball handler, first option kind of guy, and that is not what Mizzou needs him to be. But I think there was enough there that I saw that seems like he could be that kind of secondary, potentially working a little bit more off ball kind of guy. And I think he fits a mold they need. Kenny pointed that out in his article too, is adding that wing and guard depth. He's 6'4". I didn't see much of him defensively. I'm glad you looked up, and Peyton's, if you're not watching on the YouTube, is looking up Marquez Warwick. I did see a decent bit of Marquez Warwick from his tape. I don't think it's as defined, and I think he could maybe even be a little bit better of a shooter, but I think that's a good comparison point, Peyton. I'll let you give your 2 cents on that there, because that's another Horizon League guy who could score for himself and create for himself.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's more the comp, even size wise. I mean, Warwick was the smallest guy on the team at like 6'3", 190 as his listed measurements, 6'4", 185 for Stone. So they're not probably going to have that true wing, I think, that they had in Grill this year. I think Stone probably will get the bulk of the looks there. But I mean, that's kind of just where I kind of find it. I mean, you had moments where Warwick would come in and really spark the offense. Shot 45.6% from deep this year. I think that's probably, you're kind of looking for similar production out of Stone. If you get more than that, great. If you get Marquez Warwick production, I think that's fine, provided the other parts of the team step up. But that's probably, if you had to make me pick the closest comp role-wise, just player-wise, from this year's Mizzou team to Jayden Stone, I'd say it's Marquez Warwick.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think from the expected production standpoint, and potentially the role standpoint, he can be a little bit of a shot creator. Again, how much of that he ends up being with the guys around him at this Mizzou. I mean, it's just a situation you've never seen him in before. The injury stuff is very, very real, and obviously I'm curious to see if now we'll maybe get some more details on that later down the road as we get closer to the season. I want to point out too, he is a kind of a wild, like a long winding path to Mizzou. Kenny points this out in his article. So he's from Perth, Australia, like I said at the top. Went to Forestdale, Alabama, Central Park Christian, and then transferred to Sacred Heart High School in Anniston, Alabama, and then finished up at Bel Air, Sunrise Christian Academy in Bel Air, Kansas, which is more of a basketball kind of prep powerhouse. I believe those 2 high schools in Alabama are both now defunct, by the way. His father, I believe, is from Alabama. He was born in Australia because his father was playing out there. If my facts are correct there. And then Kenny also points out too, for just a little bit of a roster construction update. So Mizzou's got technically one scholarship remaining left, and Stone is the 5th transfer added this window. Javon Porter, Luke Northweather, Sebastian Mack, and Sean Phillips Jr. are the others. Peyton, when you hear that, I mean, any other thoughts on obviously anything else on Stone, but just on this overall roster construction, that portal haul, maybe when you think about it kind of as a collective there?
I think it's okay. I don't think they got everything they would have wanted. I'd still like to see them get one guy that could just shoot the lights out. But at this point, you're probably not going to get that. You filled most of your needs, I'd say. I think Sean Phillips is probably the best big man addition they've had under Dennis Gates. Not that it's saying a whole ton, but I do think it's possible. Sebastian Mack, I think, fills a good role on the team. But you're going to need, I think, Mark Mitchell and Anthony Robinson in particular to really step up and be the guy. Trent Pierce also, I think, really needs to be a lot better than he was at the end of last year. Otherwise, I just don't see this team being better than it was last year. If I had to predict right now, I'd probably err on the side of them being a little worse. I think they're probably still a tournament team, but I'm not sure that I'd pick them to be better than they were last year.
I think that's a fair assessment. Obviously, we'll see how they pan out. But in terms of addressing needs, I think Mizzou's done a relatively decent job. Like I said, just to go back to kind of Stone's tape, I think there's some fun upside with the ad. Like I said, I think the shooting stroke is real, even though his numbers did dip in extended usage. I think that's exactly what you have to chalk it up to. I think that's totally a valid stat to point out, is just how much he had to have the ball in that last year in Detroit Mercy. But we'll see. Coming off a year injured, obviously it's hard to expect a ton just because of how hard of a league he's coming into and having not played at the high major level really officially yet at all. So we'll see. But Jayden Stone, an intriguing addition for Mizzou men's basketball in the transfer portal, joining from West Virginia by way of Detroit Mercy. Let's call it that. And we'll see how it pans out. And we'll kick back to ourselves now. We'll go back to the regularly scheduled programming that we recorded earlier on Sunday. Finish off the show with quick hits. Okay, quick hits time. We'll finish out the show. It's time for the most painful quick hit segment for me and Payton as Kenny runs the show on the Daily Dozen Trivia. Kenny, don't shake your head at us.
I think this is gonna be like very Star Wars themed. Like I'm just like kind of
convinced. That's a good point.
Because there's like movies and television.
It's May the 4th.
One thing will be Star Wars related.
All right, we're gonna go with the NFL first. Cliff Averill totaled 39.5 sacks and 16 forced fumbles for this NFC team from 2008 to 2012. This is pre-Seahawks.
Yeah, I know it.
Not the Seahawks, Jack.
It's a Lions.
I know the answer.
It's the Lions, yeah.
Yeah, Lions.
I knew. Shout out Cliff Averill, though.
Mm-hmm. NBA, Yoda, half man, half amazing, and Air Canada were nicknames for this NBA Hall of Famer.
Oh, Vince Carter. Air Canada.
Vince really, Carter. Jack? Come on.
Oh, is it Vince Carter? Oh, yeah.
Air Canada is Vince Carter.
You know what?
Half half amazing.
My brain wasn't working because it was. I heard Air Canada and thought he was Canadian, and that's why I ruled Vince Carter out. That was poor form.
Pitcher, Spaceman Bill Lee totaled 94 wins for this current day AL East team from 1969 to 1978. I know.
Yeah, Kenny, you got that.
I know the answer.
I definitely know.
I don't know the answer.
So. He's a Red Sox.
Yeah, it's obviously. Oh, the Red Sox, right?
Kenny was a Red Sox fan. Let the record show.
Retail and shopping in 2005. This famous toy brand.
It is all Star Wars.
Released its first buildable model version of a Star Wars Death Star. This is Lego.
Lego.
I'm not gonna need to
flash them on the screen. Actually, no free ads.
No free ads.
No free ads.
Celebrity mashup for our YouTubers.
Disney celebrity.
That's Willem Dafoe.
Well, that's Willem Dafoe.
You guys know where Willem Dafoe went to college?
Man, he spelled Dafoe.
He went
you just had it up. You had it up.
It's Willem, dude. No.
It's Willem. Just type Willem.
No, A-M.
M. E-M.
You said A-M.
No, I didn't.
I said E-M.
Jack did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. Do you know where he went to college?
I know the other one is.
Where did he go to college?
He went to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee.
Okay.
Great.
The other one's Brian Cox from Succession.
Okay, I trust you.
Boom.
We're 5 for 5 chain restaurants.
In 2005, this fast food chain sold 6 different collectible Star Wars watches. Oh, I know this one.
I don't know this
Is it
one.
not?
I've guessed
It's not McDonald's, is it?
It's not McDonald's. No.
Burger King?
It is Burger King.
Of course. Of course, he knows
How
that
do you
one.
know that?
I had them. Do
Yeah,
you not
definitely. I
remember,
was going
like,
to say 1,000% had
I
him.
I don't remember that.
this actor reprised his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars
Layup.
episodes 1 through 3 for the 2022 Disney Plus miniseries Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You know it, Jack? Because
Is
Kenny
it-
and I know it.
Is it Ewan McGregor? Is that how you?
Yes,
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor. That is my
Movies. What actor played Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn,
Jim.
in the 1999 film Star Wars, or 1999 film Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace? Jack, do you know this one?
Yeah, it's Liam Neeson, isn't it?
Yes.
Correct. Yep. Well, I'm glad
top,
Kenny
at
was
top,
right.
at
He's
top,
at the
at top.
top. What are you doing?
top.
Oh.
Jesus.
Music. While she's no Max Rebo, this singer, known for her #1 hit "About Damn Time," also appeared in a season 3 episode of The Mandalorian. Jack.
Very not well liked episode of The Mandalorian.
Jack Black is also in this episode.
Oh
Is
man,
that
I
it?
watched this, but I don't remember. Who is it?
Lizzo.
Lizzo.
Oh.
That was not a well-regarded episode.
There we go.
9 for 9 on May the
Thank
4th.
goodness Kenny was right about it being Star Wars.
Good job. That
Yes,
Cliff
sir.
Averill was the hardest one. Come on.
Nobody knew Cliff Averill as a lion. That's
How do you not know
pathetic.
Cliff
Come on.
Averill's a lion?
What was the retail shopping one? Good Lord, 91. Oh, the Lego one.
I think that also people probably put Seahawks for the NFL.
Yeah, because they don't have reading comprehension.
The only reason I was excited for him as a Seahawk was because I remembered how good he was as a lot. Like, I watched that. Like, all right.
Very underrated.
Tigers in the Wild. Kenny.
It's kind of funny. I don't know if I brought him up on the show recently, but you're talking about some of the upcoming changes for the baseball program and just where it's kind of been another loss there on Saturday, still winless in SEC play. But I wrote about Peter Zimmerman just like recently, just in a story just about kind of like the future of Mizzou baseball. I used some quotes from when he came on the show with us, and just by the stroke of luck, he signed with a new team in the American Baseball or in the American Association, which is another independent league. He's going to be with the Sioux Falls, excuse me. What is their mascot? The Canaries. Sioux Falls Canaries.
Could have been a Maine bird.
Canary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been a bird. Good for Pete Zimmerman, friend of the show. I'm sure he's got plenty of thoughts about how this Mizzou baseball season has gone, and believe me, we'll talk about it if they do the impossible.
Yeah. We've got we'll have more baseball stuff upcoming. We're kind of just waiting to see if history happens. But congrats to Peter Zimmerman. Payton, your Tiger in the Wild.
My Tiger in the Wild, it's Caleb Grill on screen, but it is also Tamar Bates because both Caleb Grill and Tamar Bates were invited to the NBA G League Elite Camp. I believe, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, that's just kind of like almost like a combine of sorts.
Yeah, it's a good thing to get invited to. Yeah, it's a combine.
So I'd expect both Grill and Bates will probably at least get a G League chance somewhere. Good for both of them, probably well earned. Tough ending for Caleb Grill at Mizzou, but man, I don't know that I've ever seen a player on a heater quite like the first few months of SEC play from Caleb Grill.
He is 1,000% going to have one of those summer league performances where it's just like, wait, who is this dude? And he makes like 8 threes in a summer league game. NBA inside the green room. All right. Nice NBA logo. Twitter PFP says, I have him listed as a 2nd round pick and to be a top 3 shooter this year in the draft. Many don't know he's also explosive off the dribble at the rim. His rim running is a little bit underrated. This guy does only have 170 followers. I don't know why Kenny clicked on the tweet, but
See why Young follows him.
oh, there you go. Maybe it's like a Trilly. They actually have some inside knowledge. I've said it before. I think both him and Tamar Bates will end up on summer league rosters. And so what'll happen is if they go undrafted, I think that's part of this camp is like G League teams can see him because if they're just on the open market, I think they can just get picked up by anybody. So if a G League team likes him, they can kind of join that organization. So congrats to Caleb Grill. My Tiger in the Wild is Sophie Cunningham. WNBA is getting geared up. They're in preseason right now, and she kind of went off in her preseason debut. 21 points, 8 rebounds, plus 16, box plus minus. Of course, a member of the Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark. I am determined to get into the WNBA this summer. I'm going to become a Fever fan for Sophie Cunningham. If everyone tells me I'm a bandwagoner, that's just what I'm going to say. It's for Sophie Cunningham.
You went to the arena.
What?
You've been to the arena.
I have been to the arena. This is true.
Well, all three of us have been.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
I've been twice. So I guess I'm the bigger fan. I actually also watched a couple games. That's a lie. When I was at Valley, I posted the score graphics when they won. They didn't win very often when I was there. I was
well, yeah, they were tanking for Caitlin Clark, and now they have Sophie Cunningham. I have been doing some reading. They're speeding up the rebuild. That was the trade. They have a new coach, so it's reaching a fever pitch in Indiana. Pun.
We're gonna move on past that. Sophie was also, notably brought in. They wanted her to be kind of that enforcer role. She did some enforcing yesterday. She got up and was screaming at a girl that threw her to the ground. So pretty good stuff in her preseason debut.
I have a bonus Tiger in the Wild. I didn't want to save this one because I thought this was fun. The Kentucky Derby was on Saturday, and there was a horse named Journalism in it. And then Mizzou Journalism made an appearance. This kind of got everywhere. They were interviewing the champion, the owner of the winner in the winner's circle. And there's a reporter in the back with a big Mizzou Journalism hat. So he's my bonus Tiger in the Wild because that rocks.
Are you not going to say his name?
Do I know his name? Oh, it's Pat Forty. I didn't recognize him. I didn't recognize him.
All right, you know what, Jack? I didn't
recognize him. Sorry, Pat.
I didn't realize that was Pat 40.
I didn't realize it was Pat
That's
40.
my bad.
Fully didn't.
Are you serious, Payton?
I didn't realize that was Pat 40 until right
now. Oh
my
gosh, what?
That's my bad.
Spoke to our class.
I know, and I'm sorry. I apologize.
Sorry, Pat 40.
I should have known
that.
Oh
my god, this photo was sent 3 times in our group chat with our friends from college because people just don't read the group chat and just send stuff when they see it on Twitter. And it was mentioned like 3 times. Oh, is that Pat 40? Is that Pat 40?
Okay, I was busy yesterday.
Yeah, I fully skimmed that.
Now,
I just was like, oh man, in a Mizzou Journalism hat. There he is.
I'm not gonna take any heat off me. I should have known that was Pat.
Yeah. No, hand up.
I didn't see the group chat part of it. I just had seen it on Twitter. One thing I really like also is that every time Mizzou or anything Missouri is mentioned like on a national stage, Twitter, like Mizzou tweets about it, like everyone on Twitter explodes. I don't know that I see that type of stuff from any other college, but Mizzou seems to always be so excited when they're on national TV. And they should. It's cool.
Yeah. I do love there's kind of a unified I think Mizzou basketball like quote tweeted some just reply guy about somebody the other day. But yeah, okay.
Remember when John Hamm said MIZ on I think it was the Tonight Show?
Yep, that got big. Yeah, sorry, that's embarrassing. And fully this morning when I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna throw that on the quick hits because that was really funny. I was like, well, it was probably a reporter. I wonder who it was.
I'm not gonna lie. I honest to God thought it was I thought it was one of like journalism, the horses, like just handlers. I really did. And
okay, that's bad. I didn't think that.
I absolutely realized that's Pat 40, and I apologize for that.
Yeah, that's
let's just move on before anyone digs
so
another
sorry,
hole.
Pat 40. If you ever come on the show, I'll apologize to you.
Shout out Pat 40.
It was funny, like he never really acknowledged it. Like he kind of went viral.
That's also why. Like, why is Mizzou not tweeting, "Hey, Pat 40, love the hat" or something? They're just like, oh.
Because they probably didn't know it was Pat 40 either.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, Pat 40. I really
thank you,
am
Payton, for
very
taking some of the
sorry.
heat off me for that. I totally did not notice that was Pat 40. All right, headlines, Kenny.
I'm just going to jump back in with just some football news, but Joshua Shanklin, who was a JUCO edge target for Missouri in the class of 2025, 4 years eligibility remaining, and kind of fit the mold of a guy that they could bring in and develop, have a couple years, just wait on him and get him ready to be in that room because it's a very deep room. I mean, they lost 2 guys because of in this spring window, and Ja'Kai Lang and Eddie Kelly, because those guys weren't really going to see the field as much. And an opportunity here. They looked at Elias Rudolph from Miami, looked at Joshua Shanklin from the JUCO ranks, but Shanklin committed to Arizona State after his visit this past week. Also visited Mizzou. Never got a chance to really catch up with him because he told me he was going to Arizona State. Then he would kind of make his decision from there, and I guess talk about which visit made him commit. So that was the one he talked about with Arizona State. But just another guy off the board. Maybe Mizzou continues to look, see if there's any other young edge defenders out there.
I think the edge room is fine. I think it really is not necessary to bring in either Rudolph or like a Rudolph or Shanklin type. I don't understand why they're putting so much more emphasis on that than corner, in my opinion. I thought the corner room sucked last year, and I didn't feel like they did enough. Like, they brought in Hall. That's a good addition. I felt like they could have done more at that position group, so I'm not really heartbroken about losing another edge rusher. I'd rather see them go after a cornerback.
Yeah, I'm with that as well. A loss for one J school to another here in ASU, winning out for Shanklin. That's my
Boo, Walter
analysis.
Cronkite.
Oh my gosh.
You're no Pat 40.
You guys didn't know that was Pat 40. If I pulled up a picture of Walter, would you guys know that? Would you guys recognize him?
No,
I would recognize
definitely
Walter
not.
Cronkite. Yeah.
No. I
Okay,
won't even.
that's not good either.
I won't even pretend that one.
Anyways, I'm going to go to
couldn't tell
my
you what
headline.
Payton, your headline.
Women's basketball secures McDonald's All-American nominee Lisa Thompson. This was the second commit. There were 2 bat signals tweeted by Kelly Harper last week. We talked about the first one on Friday's show. Now we know the second one, Lisa Thompson, who came from Rutgers. I believe she averaged around 5 points a game last year. So again, not someone that is probably someone you're expecting more to take like a big stat jump just with an increased role. But we'll see. The roster's starting to get kind of rounded out, I'd say, because I know Kelly Harper at the Zoo to the U said they're not really looking to just go to the roster limit. They'll just add players when they see fit.
4.9 points per game last year as a sophomore for Rutgers. Just affirming that. 27 games, 13 starts. Started 20 games as a true freshman, averaged 6.7 points. So minutes came down a little bit as a sophomore. But yeah, hopefully she can take another big role. Obviously, high major experience for the Joliet, Illinois native. So yeah, good ad there for Mizzou women's basketball. My headline this week, this is unreal poor journalism. I was trying to click for a few articles that could have mentioned a silver lining from the Clippers Game 7 loss to the Nuggets. You know, I get it. They're out of the playoffs. Heartbreaking. But you got some really nice contributions in garbage time from your youngster, Kobe Brown. My headline reads as follows: Nuggets resilience leads team past Clippers onto their biggest challenge yet. That's not my focus here. My focus is that in a Game 7 elimination game, Kobe Brown was the second leading scorer for the Clippers. If you didn't see this, the Clippers got absolutely boat raced in Game 7 to the Nuggets. Kobe Brown, though, did play 8 minutes, scored 12 points. So outscored James Harden in a playoff elimination game. Kobe Brown needs more playing time. That's my
on 6 of 7 shooting, mind you, and I believe he made a 3-pointer.
Yes,
so
I don't think he did.
Did he not?
I don't think so. I think it was
okay. Well, they must have had a free throw.
I will check.
But either way, I mean, we do this every year with the Clippers. Just wait till they get healthy. Wait till Kawhi's healthy. We do this every year. Also, Knowlton, there's another pretty obvious Mizzou connection in this game. If you want to.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. advanced, but whatever. We will get to him. I'm saving him because he's in the next round. I want to give Kobe his props. He was the second leading scorer in Game 7.
I just Controlled F this article, this link you gave me, and Michael Porter Jr. and Kobe Brown are not mentioned once.
That's what I said. I tried to find one that had a footnote of Kobe Brown, and there was none, which was an overlooked silver lining of this game. The Clippers have a good future.
Just poor journalism all around and quick hits right now. Just
it's
just
very bad.
It's a theme.
Bad. Big J. I'm not embodying it very well. He did not make a 3 Payton. He was 6 of 7 from the field with 1 made free throw. So
Anyways, I'm gonna just go to the joke of the day now. This one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show. Guys, what do cows like to read?
What do cows like to read?
They don't.
They like to watch movies.
They like herding. Herd.
Good Lord, guys, that was abysmal. The answer is they like to read cattle logs.
That's good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That'll do it for the show. This has been The Unwritten Rule. We'll have more news coming up next show. So enjoy that. Put any more GM comments in the comments. I'm happy to discuss that all day long. And Pat 40, you're welcome on the show anytime. And I'm sorry for not recognizing you. All right. That's it. Bye.